There is a 5-gallon bucket sitting behind my woodshed. It is half full of rainwater, a handful of grass clippings, and one heaping spoonful of a powder you can buy at any hardware store for $17. Every female mosquito within 100 yards of my farmhouse is flying toward that bucket right now to lay her eggs. And every single egg she lays is going to die within 24 hours. It will not harm my honeybees. It will not harm the butterflies in my wife's flower garden. It will not harm my dog, my chickens, the songbirds that come to the feeder, or the children running barefoot through the yard at dusk. It only kills one thing. My name is Elias Yoda. I am Amish. I keep 11 hives of honeybees on this farm. My wife tends a half-acre of flowers and herbs that the pollinators depend on, and I have not been bitten by a mosquito at my own kitchen table in 9 years. We have no electric bug zapper. We have no spray truck driving down the road. We have no chemical company on retainer. I am going to show you exactly what I do in the order I do it, with what it costs and where to put it. Then I am going to tell you the part that should make you uneasy, which is that the pest control companies in your town have known about this for 40 years, and most of them still spray your yard with something that kills the honeybees right along with the mosquitoes, because the honeybee safe option does not refill itself every month at $200 a visit. Stay with me. By the end of this, you will know how to clear the mosquitoes out of your own property this weekend for less than the cost of one professional spray treatment, and your bees will thank you for it. Let me start with what most folks get wrong, because if you do not understand this, none of the rest will work. Mosquitoes do not come from the air. They do not come from the woods. They do not blow in on the wind from your neighbor's pond. Every mosquito biting you in your own backyard was born in your own backyard, in water, in standing water, and not very much of it. A bottle cap of water held in the crease of an old tarp is enough. A clogged gutter holding half a cup of rainwater for 4 days is enough. The little dish under your potted geranium is enough. A female mosquito will lay between 1 and 300 eggs at a time, and she can do it in less water than you can hold in your cupped hand. That is the whole game right there. If you let standing water sit on your property for more than 4 days, you are running a mosquito hatchery. If you eliminate it, or, and this is the trick, if you poison it so the eggs cannot hatch, you have solved the problem at the source. This is what we have always done. My grandfather walked the property every Saturday morning in summer with an empty coffee can, and he tipped out every saucer, every tarp pocket, every old bucket, every wheelbarrow that had collected water during the week. He called it walking the line. And in the places he could not drain, the low spots in the pasture, the cattle trough, the rain barrel by the back door, he had another trick which I am going to show you in about 3 minutes. The English want to kill the mosquito after it has hatched and flown into their face. We kill it in the water before it ever has wings. Our way takes about an hour a month. Their way takes a monthly bill and a foggy yard that smells like a chemistry classroom. Here is what I want you to do this weekend. You will need 3 things. A 5-gallon bucket, dark colored, orange, red, brown, or black, not white. I will explain why in a minute. A few handfuls of grass clippings or dead leaves, and 1 container of something called mosquito bits. They will be in the lawn and garden section of any hardware store, sometimes near the pond supplies. $17, give or take. You start by setting your bucket somewhere out of the way. Behind a shed, under a hedge, behind your barn, not next to where you eat dinner. You want the mosquitoes drawn away from you, not toward you. You fill the bucket about halfway with water. Rainwater is best, but tap water will do. Then you toss in a handful of grass clippings, a few dead leaves, maybe a twig or 2. Nothing fancy, just enough to make the water look a little dirty, a little swampy. Why dark colored? Because a female mosquito, when she is hunting for a place to lay her eggs, is looking for water that looks like the dark, shaded, still pools where her species evolved over millions of years. A bright white bucket in full sun does not look like home to her. A dark bucket in the shade does. The color matters. Trust me on this. Why the grass clippings? Because as those clippings break down, they release the same compounds that decaying vegetation releases in a natural pond. The scent that tells a female mosquito this is a good place to leave her young. You are not making a swamp, you are making a counterfeit swamp. The most attractive piece of real estate on your property as far as a mosquito is concerned. Now here is the part that turns the counterfeit swamp into a graveyard. You take one heaping spoonful of the mosquito bits and you sprinkle it across the top of the water. That is all. You do not stir, you do not measure. One spoonful floating on the surface. What you have just put in there is something called BTI. The full name is Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis, which is a mouthful and I do not bother to say it. It is a bacterium, not a chemical, not a poison in the way folks usually use the word. A living thing that exists naturally in soil all over the world. It was first found growing in a desert pond in 1977, and what makes it remarkable is that it kills exactly one kind of creature. When a mosquito larva, that is the little wiggling worm thing that hatches from the egg and lives in the water for about a week before it grows wings, when that larva eats a particle of BTI, it gets a hole in its stomach. Within 24 hours, it is dead. It works on mosquito larvae, black fly larvae, and fungus gnat larvae. It does not work on anything else. Not on bees, not on butterflies, not on dragonflies, which eat mosquitoes themselves. Not on fish, not on frogs, not on songbirds, not on your dog if she sticks her face in the bucket. I am not exaggerating. The reason it is so specific is that the gut of a mosquito larva is alkaline in a particular way, and the toxin in BTI only activates in that exact chemistry. A honeybee's gut chemistry is completely different. So is yours. So is everything else's. You can drink a glass of bucket water and you will not feel a thing. Please do not drink the bucket water. That is not the point I am making, but the science is solid. Germany has been using BTI in their public mosquito control program since 1981. The state of Pennsylvania uses it. Maryland uses it. They drop it from airplanes over marshland. It is the safest mosquito control product on the planet, and it has been for 40 years. So why is your lawn care company not using it? Most of them are not, and the answer is simple. BTI is cheap. It is sold over the counter, and once you know about it, you do not need them. A $17 container will last one family the entire summer. A monthly mosquito spray contract costs between $60 and $90 per visit. You do the math on which one the lawn company would rather sell you. One spoonful of mosquito bits floating on a half-full bucket of swampy water will kill every mosquito egg laid in that bucket for the next 2 to 4 weeks. After that, the BTI breaks down and you sprinkle in another spoonful. That is the whole maintenance schedule. Now here is how you make the system actually work for your whole property, because one bucket behind one shed is not going to clear out a half-acre lot. You need at least 3 buckets, one on each side of your house, placed away from where you sit, where you eat, where the children play, always away. You are not decorating, you are drawing the enemy away from your camp. I put one behind the woodshed on the north side, one behind the bee yard on the east, one behind my wife's herb garden on the west, tucked behind the rosemary so my wife does not see it and complain about it ruining the view. She has views about how the yard ought to look, and I have learned not to argue. If you have a flower bed where you cannot hide a bucket, take the lid that came with the bucket, screw 4 short wooden dowels into it to make little legs, and rest the lid on top of the bucket like a little hat. That way the rain cannot fill the bucket and dilute the BTI, but the mosquitoes can still fly in underneath to lay their eggs. $3 in dowels, 5 minutes with a drill if you have one, or with a screw and a screwdriver if you do not. I will not pretend I use power tools. I do not have electricity on this farm, and the hand drill my father gave me does just fine. For the places you cannot put a bucket, a ditch along the road, a low spot in the pasture that holds water after a heavy rain, an old stock tank by the barn, they make the same thing in a different form. They look like little brown donuts. The boxes call them mosquito dunks. You just toss one in. Each one covers about 100 square feet of standing water and lasts about 30 days. I keep a box of them in the mudroom, and I toss one in the rain barrel by the back porch the first day of every month from May through September. And here is something most folks miss: your gutters. If your gutters have any debris in them, leaves, pine needles, the kind of buildup most houses get within a year of cleaning, they are holding water. Not much, just enough. Sprinkle a spoonful of mosquito bits straight into the gutter every few weeks during mosquito season, and you have shut down what is probably the single biggest mosquito breeding ground on your property. Most homeowners have no idea the gutters are doing this. The mosquitoes know. Now, before I go on, let me say a word about the part you cannot buy in a hardware store, which is walking your property. Once a week, in summer, in the cool of the morning, take an empty coffee can or a small bucket and walk your whole yard. Every saucer under every potted plant, the wheelbarrow leaned against the barn, the dog dish you do not use anymore, the folds in the tarp covering the firewood, the kiddie pool the children left out, the bird bath, the clogged downspout, the old tire pile if you have one, and if you have one, please get rid of it because tires are the worst single mosquito factory ever invented by man. Dump them all, turn them over, walk the line. This is what the agricultural extension folks call source reduction, and it is half the battle. You can put out 50 buckets of BTI, and it will not do you as much good as dumping the 6 little catch pools you have hiding around your yard. 5 minutes a week. The mosquito starts in the water. End her there. All right, so you have done the walking, and you have put out the buckets, and you have treated the gutters. That handles the eggs and the larvae, but you have a problem. There are still adult mosquitoes out there right now, born last week, who are looking for blood to feed on so they can lay one more batch of eggs before they die. They are not going to read your mind and know that the bucket is the place to go. They are going to come find you on the porch. So we have to handle the adults too, and this is where we use the second piece of the system, which is also safe for bees and butterflies, and which costs you a few dollars and an afternoon. What we use is essential oils, real ones, the actual extracts: cedarwood, rosemary, clove, garlic, lemongrass, peppermint. These are not perfumes. These are concentrated plant compounds that have been used as insect repellents for thousands of years all over the world by people who did not have anything else and figured out what worked. You can buy them already mixed in a few different brand name sprays at the hardware store in a bottle that hooks up to your garden hose. I will tell you flat, the hose end sprayer does not work very well. It puts the spray out too fine and it runs out too fast. I use a pump-up garden sprayer. The kind you fill, pump up by hand, and carry on your shoulder. About $40 at the hardware store. Lasts a lifetime. You fill the tank about 3/4 full with water. You shake your bottle of mosquito repellent oil, really shake it because the oils settle to the bottom, and you pour in the amount the label tells you. For most products, that works out to 4 to 8 ounces in a 4-gallon tank. You shake the whole sprayer to mix it. The water turns cloudy like skim milk. Then you go around your property and you spray. Now here is the trick most folks get wrong. Do not spray the open air. The oils evaporate fast and you are just wasting them. What you want to spray is the underside of every leaf in your bushes, your hedges, your tall flowers, the eaves of your porch, the inside of any wooden lattice, the back of your woodpile. During the day, mosquitoes do not fly around. They rest. They sit in the shade, on the cool underside of leaves, and in the protected pockets of your shrubs, waiting for evening. Spray those resting places, and you hit the entire adult population in one afternoon. Spray your patio furniture. Spray the wood underneath your deck. Spray the lattice around your porch. Do not spray your flowers that are in bloom, and this is important because even though these essential oils will not kill a honeybee, they will keep her from wanting to land there. If you spray the blossoms, you are telling your pollinators to go somewhere else, and that is the opposite of what we want. I do my whole farmstead, the porch, the bushes around the kitchen door, the wood stack, the chicken yard fence line, in about 45 minutes. It lasts 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the rain. After a heavy thunderstorm, I do it again. That is the cost. Less than an hour a month, a few dollars in oils. Now I want to tell you about 2 more things that belong to my community and that I think you should know about because they are part of how we have always done this. The first is the purple martin house. If you have ever driven through Lancaster County or Holmes County in Ohio or Shipshewana in Indiana, you have seen them. Tall white poles with what looks like a little white apartment building on top, 15 feet in the air, set out in the open away from the trees. They are everywhere on Amish farms. There is a man named Andy Troyer, an Amish carpenter out of Pennsylvania, who designed one of the most popular models. Folks call it the T14, and you can buy them at auction in our country all summer long. Now I have to tell you the honest truth here, because there is a story going around that one purple martin eats 2,000 mosquitoes a day. That is not quite right. The studies have looked at what is in their stomachs, and the truth is that mosquitoes are a small part of what they eat. Mostly, they eat beetles, dragonflies, moths, and the bigger flying insects that come out in the daylight when the martins are hunting. Mosquitoes come out mostly after the martins have gone to bed, but here is what the martins do. They eat the bigger insects that would otherwise be eating your garden. They are beautiful to watch. They sing in the morning. The children love to care for them. And they have been part of our farms for 200 years for reasons that go beyond mosquito control. They are good neighbors, and good neighbors are worth keeping. So if you have the open space for one, they want a tall pole, 15 feet up, at least 60 feet away from any tree or building, put one up. It will not solve your mosquito problem on its own, but it will make your farm a more lively place and the kind of property that is alive with songbirds and dragonflies and bats and frogs is the kind of property where the mosquitoes have a hard time getting a foothold. The whole ecosystem starts working with you instead of against you. The second thing I want to mention is what my grandmother used to do at dusk in the cool part of the evening when the family was sitting on the porch. She would take an old tin can, a coffee can with a few nail holes punched in the side for air, and she would put in a small handful of dried herbs from her garden. Rosemary, sage, dried lavender, and sometimes a sprig of mugwort if it was a bad mosquito year. She would set one small piece of charcoal on the bottom, light it, and let the herbs smolder. The smoke from those herbs is what we used before there was anything else. It smells wonderful, nothing like a chemical bug spray, more like a kitchen at Christmas. And it keeps mosquitoes out of about a 10-foot circle for as long as the herbs are smoking. You can do the same thing on your patio tonight. A small ceramic dish, a charcoal disc from the hardware store, a handful of dried rosemary or sage from your kitchen cabinet. That is it. The smoke is gentle. It does not bother honeybees because they are already in the hive for the night, and the mosquitoes will not come near it. I want to leave you with the bigger picture because I think it matters. Mosquitoes kill more human beings every year than any other animal on Earth. Not snakes, not sharks, not wolves, not bears. Mosquitoes. They spread West Nile virus, which is in every state in this country now. They spread Eastern equine encephalitis, which is rare but kills a third of the people who catch it. In other parts of the world, they spread malaria, which still kills more than 500,000 people a year, most of them children. This is serious business. We are not just talking about an itchy bump on your arm. But the way most of the country has been told to handle the problem, call the company, sign the contract, let them spray your yard once a month with something that kills every insect it touches. That is not the only way. It is not even the best way. It is the way that makes someone money. The honeybee population in this country is in trouble. 20 years of decline. Whole hives collapsing. There are a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons is that the same chemicals being used to kill mosquitoes in suburban yards are also killing the bees that pollinate the food in those yards. You cannot kill the pests without killing the helpers if you use the wrong tool. And every Amish farmer I know who keeps bees has the same complaint about the lawn care trucks driving through our townships in the summer. They are killing our livelihood while they pretend to be helping their neighbors. BTI does not kill bees. Essential oil sprays do not kill bees. Source reduction does not kill anything except mosquitoes. The whole system I just described, buckets, dunks, oils, smudge, walking the property, costs less than 1 month of professional service, takes 1 weekend to set up, and you can run it yourself for the rest of your life with no contract, no chemical, no harm done. This is what we have always done, not because we are clever, because we had no choice. When you cannot drive to the hardware store, and you cannot call the spray truck, and you cannot pay the contract, you figure out what actually works with what you have at hand. And what we figured out over generations was that the mosquito problem is a water problem, and the water problem is a problem you can solve with $17 and an hour of attention. So this weekend, here is what I want you to do. Walk your property with a coffee can. Dump every saucer, every bucket, every wheelbarrow, every tarp pocket that has water in it. Source reduction. That is step 1, and it is free. Put out 3 buckets in hidden corners, dark colored, half full of water, handful of grass clippings, 1 spoonful of mosquito bits in each. Hide them where they will not be seen, but where the mosquitoes can find them. Toss a dunk in your rain barrel, your gutter, any drain pipe or low spot that holds water for more than a day or 2. If you have the time, get yourself a pump-up garden sprayer and a bottle of essential oil mosquito repellent and spray the underside of every shrub, the back of every wood pile, the lattice of every porch. That is your weekend. About $60 in materials total the first time, less than $30 after that for the whole season. And by next Saturday evening, you will be sitting on your porch in the cool of the day with no mosquitoes coming for you, your honeybees still working the flowers, your butterflies still on the lavender, your dog drinking out of whatever puddle she pleases. Tell me in the comments below where you live and what your mosquito situation is like right now. I read every one of these. And tell me if you put out a bucket. I want to hear how it goes. The folks in my community already know this works. I am writing this for the folks outside of it who were never told. Next time, I am going to show you what my grandmother used to do to keep flies out of the kitchen in August, which involves a glass jar, a piece of paper, and 1 ingredient from the pantry that you would never guess. It worked for 100 years before sticky paper was invented, and it still works better than anything you can buy. Until then, stay cool, stay watchful, and remember, the people who built this country with their hands knew things we are only just starting to remember.